we need to be invoking.
If I may, Paul here.
Yeah.
Just as a suggestion, if, let's just say, for example, the Supreme Court of Law justices receive a grand jury, a citizen's grand jury report, finding that as a matter of law and a matter of fact, that the 2020 presidential election cycle had results reported and certified which were fraudulently obtained and unreliable. Then the court could order, or the grand jury could recommend, and then the grand jury the court then could order that the grand jury, the constitutional grand jury that they petition, be instructed that upon a similar finding by that grand jury, that the presidential election cycle be declared void, and that the office of the president and vice president are vacant by virtue of fraud, which vitiates everything that occurred in that election cycle, and that the United States Marshal Service reinstate Mr. Trump and Mr. Pence into their former offices, where they are to remain until such time as their duly qualified and lawfully elected successors in office are legally elected. Now, you got to stop and think for just a minute. If you inform a grand jury, sitting federal grand jury, they can do all of that. Can you imagine for a moment what that would mean to every government around the world?
Well, Paul, if I might.
Yes, sir. I'll yield.
I think what you're talking about is judgments. In order for a tribunal to have findings of fact and conclusions of law that result in orders concerning what is going to happen in the universe around them, I think that would require a trial jury holding a trial and rendering judgment based upon the evidence before the court. I think grand juries are only supposed to discover if there's probable cause to find if a crime has existed. They're not supposed to come to a final conclusion like what you're talking about the election fraud and things. There is my understanding. I yield.
Well, thank you, and if I may, I will on that issue of law. Understand that grand juries historically have expressed their opinions in both the political arena and the legal arena. And when it comes to a question of what's going on with our political bodies, they have an absolute right to issue orders based upon findings of fact and the law that applies, and to issue instructions, corrective instructions, to elected public officials. So the neat thing in this situation is they would not be conducting a criminal investigation. Rather, they would be conducting a political examination of what has gone on in this country. And they have every right, from history, from the common law till today, they still have the right to judge the law and judge the efforts of those in public office. And if they find them deficient, and they find that there is, in fact, in contract law, for example, a requirement that if the rules of the contract are violated, then that effort, whatever is being pursued in a political fashion, is invalid, then they have the authority to issue corrective instructions. And that's what they have the authority to do. They don't have to have a trial. They just simply have to have an inquiry that brings evidence for them. They can look at, determine, yes, this gives us probable cause to believe this, or no, it doesn't give us probable. And I yield.
Thank you.